There comes a moment in every life when the mirror becomes a battlefield. When you look into your own eyes and ask, not quietly, but with thunder in your chest, what am I really made of? That question does not whisper, it roars. It grabs you by the soul and demands an answer. Because somewhere between the dreams you had and the days you live, you stopped pushing. You settled. You convinced yourself that comfort was enough. That surviving was the same as living, that having a heartbeat meant you were truly alive. But it's not. Not until you decide that the only limits that exist are the ones you accept. Napoleon Hill knew this truth not just in theory, but in blood, sweat, and vision. He saw that every great life, every empire built, every legacy etched in stone, was carved from the raw will of a person who refused to back down, a person who defied circumstance, who stood face to face with fear and said, I will not be broken. Henry Ford was told he was a fool, that the idea of a horseless carriage was insanity. But he didn't listen. Why? Because he had clarity, a vision so vivid it set fire to his imagination. Ford didn't need the world to believe in him, he believed in himself. And belief, when rooted in purpose, becomes more powerful than any opposition. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times to create the electric light, but each failure was fuel, each setback a step, because in the heart of those who refuse to quit, failure is never final. It is formative. It is the forge that tempers greatness. This is the mindset of legends. Not those born into privilege, but those born into fire and who chose to walk through it. But let me ask you, do you have that fire? Or have you allowed it to smolder beneath layers of doubt, excuses, and distractions? Have you forgotten that greatness is not given, it's demanded? And it does not respond to passivity, it responds to conviction. Conviction is what turned Andrew Carnegie, a poor Scottish immigrant, into one of the wealthiest men in history. Not money, not luck. Conviction, a deep, unshakable belief that he was meant for more, that the world does not give you power, you take it through vision, value, and the willingness to sacrifice. You want to push beyond limits? Then you must confront the real enemy, the small voice in your head that tells you to slow down. Play it safe and stay comfortable. That voice is not your friend. It is the gatekeeper of mediocrity, and every time you obey it, you surrender a piece of your potential. There is no secret formula, no shortcut, only the eternal laws Hill revealed in his writings: desire, faith, autosuggestion, specialized knowledge, imagination, organized planning, decision, persistence, mastermind alliance, the subconscious mind, the brain, the sixth sense. But those aren't just words on a page. They are bricks, tools, weapons. Each one is a part of the architecture of success. Desire burning, relentless. Focused desire is the starting point. You must want it so badly that your bones ache with ambition. You must want it more than comfort, more than approval, more than sleep. You must be obsessed. Because without that obsession, discipline dies. And what is discipline? It is love made visible. Love for your future, love for your purpose. Discipline is what separates the ones who rise from the ones who remain. Isn't talent. It's not fate. It's not some cosmic lottery that anoints the lucky and damns the rest. It is decision, a quiet, private decision that begins in the dark, before the spotlight, before the applause, before the world even knows your name. A decision to refuse mediocrity. A decision to break the invisible ceiling you've been told is permanent. A decision to stand up and say, I will not settle for this life. And that decision must be made. Every single day, the world will try to tame you. It will seduce you with comfort, distract you with noise, and numb you with convenience. But greatness, true greatness, begins where comfort ends. Napoleon Hill understood this better than anyone. When he sat with Andrew Carnegie, he wasn't handed a treasure map, he was handed a challenge, a mission, a fire. Carnegie didn't say, here's the secret. He said, if you're brave enough to search for it, to suffer for it, to give everything for it, then go. And Hill went, not for a day, not for a week, for decades. He interviewed the greatest minds of his time, not to copy them, but to decode them, to understand what invisible force separated titans from spectators. And he found it. It wasn't money. It wasn't connections. It was mindset. A steel-forged mental constitution that refused to bend in the face of resistance. Because when life strikes, when you're betrayed, abandoned, mocked, rejected, there are only two choices: break or become unbreakable. You are not here to break. The pain you feel is not punishment. It is preparation. Pressure creates diamonds. but only if the soul underneath is willing to endure. There's something inside you older than doubt, stronger than fear, louder than the voices telling you to give up. It's not motivation. It's not hype. It is your will. And when you align your will with clarity, you become unstoppable. But clarity doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who move, who take action through uncertainty, who commit without guarantee, who march when the path is still shrouded in fog. Clarity is a reward for courage. So ask yourself, are you living by design or by default? Because most people are sleepwalking through life, waiting, drifting, consuming. Asters, they live someone else's script. They speak someone else's truth. They wait for permission from a world that never cared enough to offer it. But the rare few, they write their own script. They declare, this is who I am. This is what I will build. And nothing, no opinion, no setback, no obstacle will change that. They have a vision so vivid it pulls them out of bed before the sun rises. They are obsessed not with applause, but with purpose. Vision is oxygen for the soul. And when you catch even a glimpse of what your life could be, what your future must be, you begin to breathe differently. You walk with weight. You speak with conviction. You operate with intensity. That vision becomes your compass. It silences distraction. It murders doubt. But vision without discipline is a daydream. It's a beautiful illusion that vanishes when life demands a price. Because everything you want, every level you haven't reached yet, comes with a toll. And most are unwilling to pay it. But you are not most. You are not average. You are not here to dabble, flirt, or test the waters. You are here to dominate. To elevate. To become. And that requires war with the old self. Not just once, but daily. Discipline is not a mood. It is a commitment. It is doing the work when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when every cell in your body screams to quit. You silence that voice. You override that urge. You show up anyway, because you know the truth. The pain of discipline is momentary, but the pain of regret lasts forever. Every morning you rise before the noise. Every evening you stay a little longer. Every moment you choose growth over comfort. You are casting votes for the life you want to live. You are making deposits in a future account that will compound beyond imagination. And no, the results won't come overnight. But neither does mastery. Mastery is the consequence of obsession, repetition, and patience. Mastery is born when you do something so many times that the world can no longer ignore your presence. It doesn't care if you're tired, if you're scared, or if you're ready. It demands that you show up, sharpen your tools, and do the work. And when you do it long enough, when your name becomes associated with excellence, with intensity, with purpose, that's when the gates open. That's when the world responds, not just to what you say, but to who you've become. You weren't born to be. Greatness doesn't arrive. It is summoned, and it answers only to those who dare to demand it, who carve it from the granite of discipline, and shape it with the chisel of unrelenting action. You cannot think your way into success. You must act your way into clarity, into courage, into mastery, because action is a proof of belief. Every dreamer has ideas, but only the disciplined give birth to destiny. You say you want to build something, show me the hours. You say you want freedom, show me your sacrifice. You say you want success, show me what you're willing to give up for it. Because real progress doesn't begin with addition, it begins with subtraction. Subtract distractions. Subtract the people who drain you. Subtract the habits that hollow you out. Your time is not infinite. Your energy is not unlimited. Treat them like currency, because you're either investing them or wasting them. And the world is filled with thieves. Thieves in the form of apps, news feeds, empty conversations, pointless scrolling, mindless consumption. Thieves in the form of fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of starting before you're ready. But here's the truth. No one is ready. No one ever feels fully prepared to leap. The difference is some people leap anyway. They trust the wings they haven't grown yet. They jump knowing they'll build the parachute on the way down. That's the kind of person success responds to. The bold, the relentless, the ones who run toward resistance, not away from it. Because resistance is not the enemy, it's the guide. It's the signal. It's the border between who you are and who you could become. The stronger the resistance, the more vital the path. So stop avoiding it. Lean in. Push through. The gym hurts. The grind hurts. The process hurts. But stagnation, regret, a wasted life, that pain is eternal. You get to choose your pain. The pain of progress or the pain of regret. Most choose comfort, but the champions, they choose the fire. They know that fire doesn't destroy you, it refines you. It burns off the excuses. It melts the lies. And it leaves only truth. The truth of who you are. The truth of what you're capable of. The truth that you were always meant to rise. But rising requires struggle. And in the struggle, you'll be alone. Make peace with that dot, because the path to greatness is narrow, and few will understand your hunger. They'll mock your focus. They'll question your sacrifices. They'll call you obsessed. But obsession is the birthplace of greatness. No empire, no invention, no revolution ever came from balance. Edison didn't find the light bulb by working 9 to 5. Disney didn't imagine worlds by playing it safe. Ford didn't reshape transportation by asking for permission. They were consumed, not by ego, not by fame, but by vision. They saw what others couldn't see, and they endured what others refused to face. You have that same fire. Buried maybe, but not broken. Dormant maybe, but not dead. It's waiting. Waiting for you to stop negotiating with your fears. Waiting for you to stop watering down your mission, just to make others comfortable. There's no greatness in playing small, no honor in invisibility, no legacy in silence. You must speak. You must build. You must fight, not with violence, but with intention, with relentless daily action, with the kind of focus that makes distractions irrelevant. Because if you don't define your life, someone else will, and they'll fill it with their needs, their agenda, their distractions. This is your season to take it back. Take back your mornings. Take back your health. Take back your voice, your goals, your future. And that begins with a decision, a radical, non-negotiable decision to own every moment. No more waiting. No more someday. No more blaming your past, your parents, your circumstances, the economy, the algorithm, or anything else. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But the key is belief, not in theory, not in books, but in yourself, that you can endure, that you can rebuild, that you can thrive, not just survive. Belief is not a switch. It's a muscle, and like any muscle, it grows when tested. So test it. Speak the vision even when your voice shakes. Move forward even when your knees buckle. Keep going, especially when quitting feels justified. That's how warriors are made. And understand this, no one is coming to save you. Not your family, not your mentor, not your followers or friends. This fight, greatness does not bloom in the sunlight of approval. It grows in the shadows of solitude, watered by struggle, rooted in relentless intent. Every step you take without applause is building something eternal, because what's done in silence echoes the loudest in legacy. Understand this, your dream is not a lottery ticket, it is a contract, and that contract is paid in full with discipline, sacrifice, and time. You are not owed anything, not by the universe, not by your circumstances, not by your history, but you are capable of everything. This is the paradox of success. You owe yourself everything, and no one else owes you a thing. So stop asking for guarantees. Stop waiting for signs. Stop seeking validation from people who have never walked the fire you're walking. Your destiny was not built for their approval. It was built for your conviction, and conviction is louder than talent, louder than luck, louder than any excuse dressed up as a reason. Conviction says, even if it takes me a decade, I'm not quitting. Conviction says, even if no one sees me, I see myself. Conviction says, I wasn't made to fit and I was forged to stand out. This is the hill Napoleon Hill died on, that the mind is the master, that thoughts become things, that desire backed by faith and action becomes law, not wishful thinking, not surface-level affirmations, not empty mantras, but deep, soul-rooted, belief backed by obsessive effort. Hill knew what most still deny, that success is not granted, it is claimed, and it is claimed by those who refuse to stop climbing. Yes, the climb is brutal. It will strip you, test you, break your ego, expose your wounds. But that climb, that impossible, uphill, against all odds ascent, that is where identity is forged. Because the mountain doesn't just give you a view, it gives you a new you. And the you who reaches the summit will look back at the you who started and smile. Not because it was easy, but because it was worth every scar. Let's be clear, comfort kills dreams. Every time you trade progress for comfort, you sell a piece of your future. You delay your becoming. You cheat your calling. So be uncomfortable. Wake up early. Say no to what doesn't serve you. Take risks. Be misunderstood. Because the ones who change the world are never the ones who were liked by everyone. They were the ones who moved in spite of criticism, in spite of fear, in spite of exhaustion. They moved because purpose demanded it. You have a purpose, a mission that didn't come from outside, it came from within. And when you ignore that mission, everything in you will begin to decay, not physically, but spiritually, emotionally, energetically. You'll start to feel tired without reason, angry without cause, empty without explanation, because purpose is oxygen. Without it, you suffocate in slow motion. But when you align with that purpose, when every step, every decision, every ounce of your energy is directed toward that mission, you become unstoppable, unshakable, unbreakable. You move with a different force, one that doesn't shrink under pressure, but expands. Pressure is not your enemy, it's your forge. Steel is not made in lukewarm fire. It takes heat, it takes hammering, it takes time. But when it's done, when it's finally pulled from the flames, it becomes unyielding. That's what life is doing to you now. It's forging you, testing you, hardening you. So when it gets hard, don't flinch. Don't curse the fire. Thank it, because it means you are becoming. Too many people wait for the perfect moment, for the motivation, for the sign. But the moment is now. The motivation is your mission, and the sign is this: you're still breathing. You have time. You have power. You have potential buried so deep inside you that even you haven't seen the full scope of it yet. But it's not going to surface by accident. It's not going to wake up one day and carry you forward. You must dig. You must reach. You must rise. Right now, this moment, you stand on a threshold. On one side, comfort, safety, predictability. On the other, the unknown, challenge, destiny, and the gatekeeper between the two is not time, talent, or chance. It is you, your decision, your courage. This is where most turn back. They convince themselves it's not the right time, that they'll try after things calm down, that maybe next year they'll go all in. But time does not wait. Opportunity does not pause. And purpose will not beg for your attention. It will only haunt your inaction. You will never feel ready, because growth doesn't wait for readiness. It demands willingness, willingness to be misunderstood, willingness to be doubted, willingness to walk alone. Napoleon Hill knew the rare few who changed the world weren't the smartest or the most connected. They were the ones who decided. They didn't wait for proof, they became the proof. They didn't wait for the crowd, they led in silence. They didn't ask, can I? They declared, I must. And that is your truth too. You don't need more time. You don't need more permission. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Take the first imperfect step, and then the next, and then the next after that. Because movement creates momentum, and momentum destroys doubt. Every day you hesitate, the life you were meant to live slips a little further out of reach. But every day you act even small, even scared, you pull it back into your hands. And with each act of courage, you send a signal to your mind, to your body, to the universe itself. You say, I am ready to rise. And the world responds, not all at once, not with applause or lightning strikes, but with alignment, with doors you didn't see before, with ideas, people, and chances that seem to show up by magic. But they're not magic. They are the byproduct of a soul in motion, a life activated by decision. So what will you decide today? To delay, again, to shrink back into routine, to sell your soul for likes and temporary validation, or to rise, to push beyond fear, fatigue, and failure, to claim the future that was always yours, but only if you're bold enough to meet it. Because here's the truth they never taught you in school. You don't need to be chosen. You need to choose yourself. You don't need a spotlight. You need a spark. And when that spark catches fire, when the flame inside you becomes greater than the opinions around, you become untouchable. You become the force they write about. The one they call lucky when they miss the work. The one they call blessed when they ignored the battle. But you'll know the price. You'll know the nights you cried but kept building. The days you wanted to quit but kept walking. The times you lost everything but refused to lose yourself. That is success. Not the trophy, not the status, not the money. Success is knowing you became the person you were born to be, no matter what it cost. And you'll realize it was never about beating someone else. It was never about comparison, competition, or proving anything to anyone. It was about honoring the whisper that's lived inside you since the beginning. The voice that said, you were made for more. So hear me now. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are becoming. Every second, every breath, every choice, you are being sculpted by the pain, by the pressure, by the process. But when the sculpting is done, the world will see what you already know in your soul, that you were always meant to rise, that you were always meant to lead, that your limits were last shattered the moment you decided to push through them. So rise now, not tomorrow,